Welcome to the Retro Craptacular podcast. I am your host, Aaron Dawson, and I'm joined once again by my co-host, Matt. Hey, Matt. We are on the search for the best bad movies of all time, and we are starting this week because the movie is coming out at the end of the week here. Depending on when this goes up, it might already be out. But the new Power Rangers movie is out, so we watched Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
Welcome to my nightmare. Now, the ultimate adventure begins. Hi, honey. I'm home.
You garlic-sucking dingo brain!
We're the Power Rangers.
Oh, where's my autograph book?
More action. More adventure. More power.
The ooze is back.
You lose, you lose.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie.
We both grew up watching the Power Rangers.
Oh, yeah.
I, however, didn't watch Mighty Morphing as much.
No?
I came in with Lost in Space, or In Space, or whatever it was.
There's Space One.
There's In Space and there's Lost Galaxy.
Uh,
Came right after that. And I came in on In Space.
Okay.
I did watch Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but I think you're probably actually more versed in the that lore
Probably, yeah.
more than I. You watched it recently, right?
Yeah. Truth be told, it was only 2 years, maybe 3 years ago, that I rewatched all of the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers with my good friend Steve, the Bearded. And yeah, growing up, I watched quite a bit. We didn't have a lot of like channels. We didn't have TV much growing up, but
Right.
the movies, especially, I would watch multiple times in a day.
This
when I
one
was
and
6.
Turbo.
Yeah,
You
this
watched
one and
Turbo?
Turbo, definitely.
Oh, so bad. I've been watching it recently. Actually, there's been a live stream on Twitch. That's just streaming every episode of the Power Rangers ever until the release of the movie.
Oh man.
So I've actually just been kind of had it on in the background while I've been doing stuff lately, and I have no idea what's going on ever, because it just start in the middle of an episode and I'll kind of watch it for a bit and not pay attention, and I'll go off and make food and then come back, and I have no idea what's happening.
Well, with the average Power Rangers episode plot, if you blink, then you suddenly won't know what's actually going on.
And I seem to keep coming into the episodes when it's Bulk and Skull are in the middle of doing something dumb.
The side adventures.
Yeah, it's always the Bulk and Skull side adventures with the professor,
Ah,
and I instantly zone out because I'm I don't want to watch this. And then they're fighting a giant squid or something.
oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie, 1995, excellent film, probably for the time. And do you want to sum it up?
Yeah, let's do it. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with the background of the Power Rangers, go educate yourselves and come back. Because here we have the movie Power Rangers doing their thing, skydiving together.
Actually, I was going to ask you about this. Does it kind of pick up right where the series leaves off?
Well,
or is it kind of
not
in the
really.
middle?
The series leads into the next series.
Right.
Is essentially how it goes. But this movie picks up with the second generation of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because the original red, black, and yellow Rangers have left.
Right. So is it just kind of stand on its own, or does it ever go into?
From what I remember rewatching the series, there was no break that the movie changed things.
So they never had Frog and Crane and ape powers.
I feel like that came in later. Like much later. but
Because like
having trouble remembering now.
they do kind of all blend together.
Yeah.
Anyways, so it's the second generation of Power Rangers,
Hmm.
and Ivan Ooze shows up to take over the universe, I guess,
Or destroy it.
or destroy it.
He's evil. He's
He-
been imprisoned for whatever 10,000 years or something.
He either wants to destroy the world and rule the universe, or destroy the universe and rule the world.
Yeah.
It's one of those two.
Again, we blinked. So
Also, we should mention the VHS tape that I bought for 10 cents at the thrift shop the other day that we watched this on was really degraded. Is that a word?
sure.
It's really crappy and like blurry a lot of the time.
Yeah, it was like everything was onion skinning.
Yeah, not in focus, and some of the words were not very clear. Like when they would speak, most of the time had no idea what they were saying.
Yeah, well, there's lots of transmogrific thrown out there anyway, so
Ectoplasmorphicon things.
yeah.
I have no idea.
So anyway, yeah, Ivan Ooze been buried for a long time, gets uncovered accidentally by construction workers, as most evil things do.
Mm-hmm.
And
course.
then Zordon's like, "We gotta deal with this. I sense evil." And then he gets out because Rita and Zed teleport down from the moon and free him. And then it's like, "Oh no, we're too late." So
Yeah.
eventually, Ivan,
Oh yeah. Well, he like traps them in a snow globe.
yeah, and
Like not the Power Rangers.
Zed and
Rita,
Rita.
Zed and Rita, and then goes off and like destroys the base and all but kills Zordon. So the Power Rangers have to go to another planet. The planet of either Phaetos or Thetos. Again, couldn't really hear it clearly.
yeah, something like that.
To get ninjetti powers so that they
Yeah.
can come back and fight.
Which sounds like it
Ivan
should be
Ooze.
like ninjutsu that the Yeti uses, is what I kept thinking about. And it gave me a much more fantastic visual than the movie did.
Oh yeah, probably.
Oh yeah.
So they get their ninjetti powers, but then they look exactly the same, and nothing changes. But they get new Zords, and they get to fight Ivan Ooze. And there's an entire subplot where Ivan Ooze takes over all the parents in Angel Grove and makes them dig up his robots, and then tries to get them to jump into a quarry.
Yep.
But Bulk and Skull and a little kid save the day.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much the plot of the movie.
Yeah, it's essentially an episode of the show.
And it looks like it had about the same budget as an episode of the show because
Actually, maybe even a bit less because we didn't see any giant suits. We
that's
just
true.
had real bad CG.
So there's no I looked this up on Wikipedia before. There's no like Super Sentai footage used in this movie at all.
Mm.
It's all original because like like
Oh,
the original show used a bunch of like Japanese stock footage
oh yeah, absolutely.
and dubbed over it. There's none of that in this. It's all original and like new suits. And did you notice the new suits? How they're like kind of like leather and like kind of like have muscles sort of built into
I
them.
definitely noticed the muscles chiseled in, especially one scene where they have got their arms spread and they're trying to bring Zordon back to life and looking at all their chiseled abs that are definitely just part of their suits.
Yeah, like it looks like when you buy like a kid like a Batman costume or like a Superman costume for Halloween and it's just like kind of puffy.
That's exactly
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
Oh dear.
So that was great. Let's talk about the opening scene. So it opens with them skydiving for charity as part of their high school skydiving team
Yeah,
because that's a thing.
I still don't know.
Like-
I mean, when I was 6, I watched this movie 4 times a day,
Right.
multiple times,
Obviously.
and obviously rewatched it today before doing this. And no, I still don't know what the hell they were skydiving for. If it wasn't just for fun.
It has something to do with the observatory, and there's a comet that's coming by, because that comes back later at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Spoiler alert. So they're skydiving, but also Bulk and Skull are there, and they almost jump out of the plane without parachutes
Because they're dumb.
because they're dumb. But then Kimberly's like, you might want to put those on, and it's like, whomp, whomp. And
Oh, yeah.
they're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Also, just to bring this up real quick, the guy that wrote this movie, a fellow by the name of Arnie Olson, was actually my screenwriting professor, second year film school. He was filling in for someone who was off actually working, I guess, on something. I don't know. But the normal second year guy was not there, so they brought in this guy. And after watching this, I was like, maybe I shouldn't be bragging about that. Because I used to, like, that was, like, my cool, like, use it for, like, 2 truths and a lie, or, like, just brag about it to people. Be like, oh, yeah, man, my screenwriting professor wrote Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie. Like, that's so awesome. And then now I'm like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't be telling people that.
I guess the real question is, how hard did he try? And or how awake was he while he was writing it?
That's a good point. Because he also wrote, like, a Dolph Lundgren movie in the 80s called Red Scorpion. It's like a rated R, like, action movie.
Oh.
So, you know, hey, a job's a job. I'm not gonna fault the man. But anyways,
But we will fault the movie.
we will fault the movie.
Here we go.
So that, yeah, they just, like, jump out of a plane,
Yep.
and that's the opening sequence. But there's no credits playing over it. Like, it's not. It's the kind of thing where, like, you would see, like, you know, directed by some guy and written by another guy.
Because there's just boring stuff going on in the background.
Yeah, but instead you're just watching the stuff happen, and it's not interesting.
Like at first it's like, oh, they're falling through the sky. That's pretty cool. Skydiving is pretty exciting. You know, and they're flipping around, falling, flipping around.
Oh, and Tommy has a snowboard
Tommy has a snowboard.
because he needs to be slightly better than everyone else.
He's the leader.
He's the leader, so he gets a snowboard.
He has a magical talking dagger.
Yeah, and a chest plate
Oh yeah, with shoulder pads.
with shoulder pads. I've never liked Tommy. Can I just throw that out there?
Oh yeah,
Never,
He's
ever.
yeah. Bit of a douche.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He sucks. um, I don't know. I come from, like, and again, I think it comes partly from, like, not watching a lot of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and watching the later seasons where the Red Ranger is always the leader, and then watching earlier Mighty Morphin Power Rangers where Jason, the Red Ranger, is the leader, and Tommy was the Green Ranger who was evil.
Yeah, he was the evil ranger that Rita like stole or found a power coin and corrupted it.
Yeah.
And then like poisoned his mind, and then they like saved him, and then he was just like their once in a while friend that would like pop up in episodes, and they'd be like, "Oh, Tommy, hey, what's up, bro? How's your life? Getting your shit together?" And then only later on,
Doing gymnastics?
yeah, and only
Yeah.
later on did he become much of a character. And yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot of
and then he-
mistrust at first there.
And so I'm always just kind of like, ugh, why are you still here? Like, why can't old Red be the leader of the gang? Stupid Tommy.
Stupid
Freaking-
Tommy.
Ugh, annoying. Anyways, I have written down catchphrases.
Oh man, as they
This
jump out
movie-
of the plane.
Like, as they jump out of the plane, but, like, also in every facet of their life, just using catchphrases. Like,
One-liners everywhere.
everyone jumps out of the plane, says something. Like, the first one's like Geronimo, and then one's like on your tail, and then one's like cowabunga. Like, I don't.
Wait, and Blue Ranger, all systems go.
All
'cause he's the
systems
nerd.
go, right? But it's like all systems go.
And Tommy surfs up.
because he has a snowboard.
Stupid Tommy.
So yeah, here we talked about. So anyway, Ivan Ooze gets freed. Well, Bulk and Skull take forever to jump out of the plane, and then they parachute into a construction site.
Yeah.
And they pretend to be from the Angel Grove building inspectors thing.
Just dropped out of the sky.
And then they're digging so that this was actually, I legitimately laughed at this. They're like, one of the construction workers, after they're like, we're from the building inspector. This building's supposed to be over there. And how come that guy's not wearing the right shoes? And then someone's like, hey, Bill, you better come see this. And then Skull just like turns and was like, you better go, Bill. And it's like, it's so funny. It's like an actual joke. She just like gives him like a little pat on the shoulder, like, you better go, Bill. And then they find Ivan Ooze.
And then we don't really see much of Bulk and Skull for the rest of the movie.
We don't. But okay, the rest of the movie though is just full of like catchphrases. Like, can we talk about the puns?
Oh, please, let's talk about the puns.
And like some of them, I don't even know if they count as puns.
Because they're just random statements.
It's just a thing that they say after doing a thing.
Right? Like, having watched this movie a million times now, the one that always stands out to me is, I'm pretty sure it was Kimberly beating up, one of the little minions dude, knocking him over, says, have a nice trip.
Right.
See you next fall.
Of course.
Knocking him over. Like,
yeah.
Classic punny one-liner. Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
The other one that stuck out to me was when Tommy's riding the Triceratops skeleton, and he's like, hey, bone face or something like this. Like, I got a bone to pick with you. And then he like pulls out one bone.
Oh, like the top vertebrae.
Yeah, and like the head falls off and the rest of the skeleton collapses.
Oh, yeah.
And so like that's a pun. But there's another part where he's like, ninjetti corkscrew kick, and he just like spins through the air and like kicks a giant rhino man.
Yeah, some kind of statue come to life.
There's like a statue of a rhino warrior with like some axes. Anyways, kicks it and then he yells, 8-ball, corner pocket, and it like hits the wall and turns back into rocks and explodes. Which is like I wrote it down specifically as a thing of like, what the hell? It has nothing to do with anything that's happening in the scene. Like a minute before that, Billy like jumps out of the way of another one that's like swinging its axe, and it like chops the other one of the like stone warrior things like in half and like through its head.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Ooh, talk about a splitting headache." And I'm like, "Ugh, bad pun."
Yep.
But like it's relevant to what just occurred. Nothing about that scene had anything to do with pool.
You don't spin a pool cue. There were no
He
holes.
yelled corkscrew, so you could maybe
What?
make it. No, you can't.
No.
It's a kids movie, so you can't make it. You just got screwed.
Yeah.
Joke.
Although there was a fantastic as Kimberly and Tommy together push a rock on top of one of these minions. Kimberly says, "Let's rock his world," which is borderline, but I mean, still a terrible pun, but at least noteworthy as being pretty funny out of context.
Ooh. Pretty rough. But
oh, and of course the one that made the back of the box as Billy punches one of Ivan Ooze's minions real hard in the chest. He's on the ground, gets some ooze on his knuckles. Ugh. Well, you ooze, you lose.
You ooze, you lose. It was good enough to make the back of the VHS box.
That's the pinnacle of writing.
I think it was in the trailer too.
Probably.
Like, So yeah, they got new suits, but they don't get new suits.
Yeah, not really.
Because even after they get their new animal powers on the island, they get because they used to be dinosaurs and now they're like frogs and apes and cranes and bears and wolves. Eagle? Falcon? Falcon. Their helmets still look exactly the same.
Yeah, I think the only thing that changes is they get that. I think they had like a medallion in the middle of the chest.
Yeah.
Had their animal on it.
It's like a different medallion though.
Yeah.
'Cause I think they had medallions earlier in the movie.
Well, on their belts, I think, though.
Oh, on the belts.
That's where the power
and now
coins
it's just
are.
on the chest.
Yeah.
That's where the power coin, the new power coin. Okay. I had written down parents question mark.
Yeah, there's one of the scenes that should be touching and just made us really raise our eyebrows and be like, the hell? As they make it back to the base after it's been trashed by Ivan, Zordon is now not interdimensional. He's in their dimension. You actually see Zordon got this tiny little body covered in
yeah.
a cloak, and he's
Yeah.
got an old wrinkly face. and
Turns out he was just in the tube the whole time.
yeah, interdimensional my ass.
He's just in a tube.
He's just pulling like a Wizard of
He's
Oz
a tube man.
nonsense.
He was a giant floaty face, but really he's just sitting,
Yeah.
just sitting there wearing some robes, just in a towel.
And he's dying. Alpha's like, "There's nothing we can do." Ay. I hate him. And Kimberly's like, "Don't die, Zordon. You've been like a father to us." And we're like,
right.
"Hold on now. Wait a minute. That brings up an important question. Where the fuck are all your parents?"
Yeah. We never see their parents or where they live.
Like, I'm pretty sure there have been episodes that involved them being in their houses.
Have there been?
I think so.
'Cause
Or
I
at
just
least
remember
Billy's
them-
garage has come up. I know
Billy's
that one.
garage. Okay. I just remember them always hanging out doing gymnastics at the gymnastics kickboxing club
Or being at school.
or being at
Angel
school.
Grove High.
Yeah. So they're either at school or hanging out at like some activity center.
Yeah. But yeah, we gotta wonder.
So
like,
as far as we know,
where are their parents?
Zordon, interdimensional, intergalactic being, just hangs around California looking for orphans to kidnap and enslave as his warriors to do his bidding. He's basically making child soldiers.
Yeah, it's kind of.
He's an intergalactic warlord.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting Ivan Ooze to kind of bring that up to be like, "You think I'm evil? Look at Zordon."
Which leads us to his best line. Smells like teenagers.
Right when
because-
he comes out.
Because, as Zordon himself mentions, he's been doing this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, 6,000 years ago, some teenagers, not too unlike yourselves, managed to stop Ivan Ooze and imprison him in a giant purple egg being held by a claw.
Mm-hmm.
I seriously think Zordon's just been hanging around California for thousands of years,
I think that's where all of the intergalactic shit goes down.
just somewhere in Southern California.
Yeah.
In a small little town.
Called Angel Grove.
It's kind of it begs the question, kind of like, like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, like the school's built on a hellmouth, and it's like, why doesn't everyone just move?
Yeah.
Like demons and vampires and shit show up every week, and presumably have been doing so for quite a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But like, there's the part in the movie where there's like a news report. She's like, "Oh, there's 2 giant monsters destroying downtown, and all the parents in town are still missing." It begs the question, where are the Power Rangers? And it's more like, why do you still live here? Because this shit seems to happen on a weekly basis.
Oh boy. Yep.
It's like, once again, a giant monster has appeared, and the Power Rangers have to fight it with their giant robot suit. Must be Tuesday. Like, good stuff. I wrote down Roger Rabbit moment.
Yes.
Which, do you know exactly what I'm talking
I know
about?
exactly what you're talking about. So I mean, like, there is some bad CG in this movie, but
Yes.
let's hand it to the Power Rangers. They may not act very well, and they may overact with their arms, especially when they're in their suits. But when it comes to the fight sequences, they actually, try to do a lot of their own stunts. I feel like there was actually a lot more wires and stuff in this movie.
Oh, there's a lot of really good wire work.
Yeah, it wasn't like too bad or anything, but then all of a sudden, as they're fighting Ivan Ooze's little ooze dudes, 2 of them gang up on one, and like they run up. I think it's a red and black Rangers together, and they run up and they kick
Let's
it.
double team him. You got it. Super thumbs up hand motion thing on every syllable.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And they run at it, and they both kick it in the head. And instead of like it just hitting him and he dies, or instead of his head just exploding into ooze, it like becomes elastic and bounces, and his eyes
Yeah,
get
it's
really
just a,
big
like,
and like pop out of his head.
Boing. Yeah.
That came out of nowhere.
And nothing like that ever happens again in the rest of the movie. It's just like,
We're just gonna ride right past that.
yeah, we're
or-
just oh, we're moving on. Okay, great. Tommy is doing the thing where he just kicks a dude in the chest like all the way across the room.
Yep.
Yeah, let's talk about the hand motion sound effects.
Oh, what is there to say? I
Every
mean-
time they move their hand, which is every time they talk when they're wearing their suits, it's like like with everything, because it's always just like, and I can't, like, I'm moving my hands right now, but I don't know why
Well,
doing
they
a
know-
visual joke
Yeah.
on a podcast, but
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine now not watching you and just listening to. And I mean, if you've seen Power Rangers, then sure you can picture
you
it.
should know what's going on. But it's like every time they talk, they're doing like fist bumps and like throwing their hands out in front of them, being like, "All right, let's go." Fist power, moving arms constantly.
Yeah, and you got to wonder if it started with like, because they're not doing the voices while they're acting in their suits. I'm pretty sure.
No, I mean it's probably dubbed over later.
So they're like acting with their bodies, and then it's dubbed
Yeah.
over later.
I mean, I'm
that-
sure they're saying the lines, but
probably, but
yeah.
is that to like to help them line it up later, or is it just that someone directed them to do that from the start, and that's just become their thing?
Well, I think what it probably was they did it in the Japanese show, doing the hand motions and stuff. And then when they did this one, they're like, well, you guys are actually going to be in the suits now. You have to do the hand motions. Because, like, I'm pretty sure there's very little. Like, the only time that the actors are actually in their suits is if you see them without their helmets on, for whatever reason, or if they're interacting with an American character. Every other, like in the TV show,
Yeah.
every other shot is just from a Japanese TV show called Super Sentai.
Yeah.
But for this, they had to build all new suits, and then they actually got the actors in. I mean, there's probably a bunch of stuff with just stuntmen and stuff doing an array of backflips.
So many back.
I started taking like a tally of all the backflip glory shots that were in the movie, and not including the one where they, like, I include the one where they all backflip over the camera in slow motion as one, but really it's like 6.
Yeah.
But not, so including that as one, I stopped taking count at 8.
Yeah, that's fair.
And like the first 5 were in that first fight scene with the ooze monsters. There's so many shots where they're just like, we need to do a backflip right now, and then it just goes to slow motion. They're like, yeah, whoosh. And they're like jumping off of a construction site thing, or like backflipping over some ooze dudes, or doing an excessive amount of cartwheels backwards to make sure that someone's okay.
Yep. Every time.
That scene was amazing, actually, where like Billy punches one of the ooze guys and they go flying and explode, and then he's like, Aisha, and then he just does like a bunch of like
Backflip,
cartwheels,
backflip.
and then like a little like spin move, and he like kneels down next to him. He's like, "Are you all right?"
That's
Instead of just,
classic
like-
Power Rangers.
Instead of just turning around and running like the 10 feet that it would have.
or like taking one leap.
Yeah. Oh, which would have added another. Maybe they ran out of their backflip glory shot budget.
Mm.
They didn't have enough money to do yet another one. But so good. But like I said, there's probably more.
Oh, definitely more.
But I kind of stopped counting. Like after they go to Phaedos, I'm sure there's a bunch on that.
there's multiple in every fight scene, I'm sure.
Yeah. Just stopped paying attention because I stopped caring.
Legit.
I was just kind of glazed over at one point.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that planet. So they go to the planet and they fight the Birdmen.
Yeah, the Tengu Warriors.
Right. You remembered what they were called.
Yep.
Which
As soon as
was
Ivan Ooze made
astounding.
them out of his spit, they came up and I was like, oh, the
yeah.
Tengu Warriors.
No, let's back up for a second, because the dude literally hawks a loogie. Like there's a good while where it's like, and it's like hawks this purple loogie on the floor
Very far.
real far, and then the pig guy's even like, oh yeah, good distance.
Yeah.
Like actually, they made a loogie joke, and then it turns into a bunch of birdmen.
Yep.
That
Birdmen
are
warriors.
kind of reminiscent of the flying monkeys from The Wizard of Oz.
Very reminiscent, actually.
Especially when they're flying.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, you're like, oh, the Tengu Warriors. I'm like, what? You know what they're called?
And then Ivan was just like, now my Tengu Warriors. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Why are they called Tengu Warriors?
I don't remember exactly. I'm pretty sure it's Japanese for
Okay.
something. Tengu probably means
yeah.
something to do with birds or birdmen.
Okay. Also, did Ivan Ooze ever show up in the show? Or the Birdman or anything like that?
The birdman definitely.
Yeah?
I don't remember
Okay.
Ivan Ooze showing up. And I don't remember the birdman being made of his loogies.
Right.
So I was a little confused about that, but also, I was confused about 80% of the movie, so I just rode right past it.
Oh, we should mention, Ivan Ooze, too, is played by the same guy that plays Belloc in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones's like rival archaeologist friend
Was it
teams up with the Nazis.
Paul Freeman? Was that his name?
Might be Paul Freeman.
Yeah, like a legit actor.
I should have written it down. But yeah, it's like, it is a legit actor. He was in there's something else too that Hot Fuzz. He plays the Reverend in Hot Fuzz as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess he needed to like pay off some back taxes or something. So
Or owed someone a favor.
yeah, that might be it. Someone might have called. Maybe his kids were just like really big fans of the Power Rangers. And so he's like, to his agent, he's like, look, I would never normally ask you to do this, but can you get me into an episode of the Power Rangers? And his agent's like, I'll do you one better. They're making a movie. And then he got into the movie.
That sounds like a wonderful story.
And
I
then
hope it's true.
halfway through filming the movie, he's just like, it's not worth it.
But you gotta wonder how many of the actors in Power Rangers felt like it was worth it.
This is what I want to know, because none of them have had careers.
Well, I mean, some of them. The majority of the Power Rangers did not go on
None
to
of them
do
are
anything
famous,
in
though.
acting.
Yeah. Like, it's not like the cast of Friends, where you can be like, oh, they all went on to do other things, and you can name movies that, like, Jennifer Aniston is in.
Yeah, that's true. Not famous. I mean, I do remember watching, again, with Steve the Bearded, we were watching an anime that was dubbed in English. It was kind of goofy, kind of fun, but kind of crazy, And we're watching the credits come up, and we're like, the main character is voiced by Johnny Young Bosch. And we're like, why does that sound so familiar? Johnny Young Bosch. We had to look it up, and we're like, second generation Black Power Ranger. He's an anime voice actor.
He does voice acting now. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, look, lots of great actors have gone and done voice acting. Mark Hamill was a voice actor.
Oh, Mark Hamill's done some great voice acting.
For years. He's the Joker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Fire Lord Ozai in The Last Airbender. If you're into that kind of stuff. Yeah.
And Darth Bane in an episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars,
Oh.
where Yoda goes to Morband, like the Sith homeworld.
Yeah.
Darth Bane. That's Mark Hamill.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. Pretty cool. So they go to Phaedos, one of the two. We don't know. Couldn't understand. And they meet
Xena, Princess Warrior.
Xena, the Princess Warrior, wearing a green bikini
Mm-hmm.
with some whistling sticks. Just whips some sticks around, and they make like a slight whistling noise, and the birds are all like, "Bah!" And they fly away through space back to Earth. And that's kind of the last we ever see of them.
Well, the Tengu Warriors go back.
Oh, they go,
and
yeah.
Ivan's like, how did it go? And they're like, it went great, except that
I was like,
we
well, we
didn't
were
kill
about to
them.
kill them. And then
And-
he's like, but then like the whistling stick lady showed up, and Ivan Ooze is like, Whistling Stick Lady. Xena Warrior Princess.
I know exactly who that is. Yeah,
And that's kind of it.
and then he blows
She
them up.
never comes. Oh yeah, and then why don't you take another quack at it? And then he shoots them with lightning and blows them up. So he's got lightning powers and ooze powers,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Oh, can we talk about the laser pipe? We totally glossed over the laser pipe.
Oh my gosh. Well, so did the movie.
Yes.
So Ivan Ooze has the ability to shoot lightning at things and
Out of his fingers.
either take control of them or blow them up, or both. I don't know. But when he faces,
If you touch the ooze, some purple lightning will shoot around you,
Mhm.
and then you'll be under his control.
Yeah.
But if he just shoots lightning at you, you'll blow up? I guess? I don't know. So anyways,
Lightning represents nondescript magical powers, as far as I'm concerned, in
of course.
the world of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
So he shows up at the base and proceeds to trash it.
Oh yeah.
But he's talking to Zordon and says something about like time to pay the piper, and then like a magic lightning pipe appears in his hand and like he blows on it once.
He gives a little.
Yeah. And then uses it to shoot lightning around the base and destroy everything.
But like, he didn't need it. He's shot lightning out of his fingers plenty times.
Right, but now he has a laser pipe.
But he only played it that one time. That little.
I know. And the worst part of the movie is that
Oh, that's a bold statement.
the worst part of the movie isn't something that happens, it's something that doesn't happen. And that's no one kills Alpha.
Oh gosh. Ay ay ay.
Alpha is the worst thing ever. Like I remember like even as a kid being like, "Ooh, Alpha's a bit much."
Yeah, grating on the ears.
Yeah, just like I really hope this Alpha scene ends soon so we can get to the good stuff in the show.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, "Woo, Power Rangers. Ah, yeah. And that's not even like I don't even know if I can make my voice that annoying.
Even just that, I wanted to punch you in the throat.
Yeah, fair enough. But like how great would it have been if he just like used his laser pipe and just blown Alpha to pieces?
It would have been incredible.
But you need Alpha to like tell the Power Rangers what to do because they're still dumb.
They're just teenagers.
That's true. Because even Alpha's the one that sends them to Thedos Phaedos to get their magical ninjetti powers.
Mm-hmm.
Which
Sounds
they
really
get.
intelligent when you say
Yeah.
it like that.
So they get their magical ninjetti powers, but then they have to walk through the jungle to get their magical ninjetti powers.
Yeah, it was kind of like they do some kind of with Xena Princess Warrior. They who's not actually black haired, just
She's redheaded,
yeah, just to clear that up.
kind of maybe brunette-ish.
Yeah, kind of like. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Couldn't really tell. VHS was kind of smudged.
Yeah, it was curly, so that
was
made
like-
it look even less defined.
It was like watching a movie with like the pastel effect from like iMovie put over top of it.
Yes. Yes. Oh, that is accurate. Well, yeah, they do some kind of contemplative fire ritual where they're looking deep inside themselves because in every person is an animal,
One
Or-
of these specific 6 animals.
a spirit animal. And so they close their eyes and they meditate in their own fire, and Xena blows some kind of magic dust and the fire gets all big.
Did that happen?
Yeah. Did you
I must have glazed over that because I remember her being like, "We must consult the ninjetti animal spirits," and then it cuts to something else.
Yeah.
Then I think it cuts to like Ivan Ooze like being like, "I'm gonna make my ooze," and like puts it in jars and gives it to children.
Yeah.
And I guess it cuts back.
It
after
cuts
that?
back, and then all of a sudden it's nighttime. Like they've just been standing around the rest of the day, and that's when they do their fire ritual or whatever. And then it is revealed to them which of their animal spirits. They are, I guess, they like ghostly, spirity things come out of the fire and kind of reveal themselves a little bit.
I guess we got like they all get like ninja suits.
Yes, and that is yeah, that is they get those suits after the fire thing. And then on each of the medallions that they have on their ninja suits, there is an animal. That's how it's revealed to them.
Right.
And then Xena goes by them one by one and tells them by their medallion, like, you are like the bear, mighty and unmovable or whatever.
Yeah.
And then Rocky, you are intelligent and strong. You're a monkey.
The mighty ape
Yeah, my bad.
is what she actually said.
Oh, which brings us to my favorite part of the whole movie, where she comes to Johnny Young Bosch, and he's looking kind of sad. And
Well, because everyone's had awesome animals. It's
Yeah.
like bear, ape,
Billy gets to be a wolf.
crane.
Crane's pretty badass.
Kimberly's the crane.
Johnny Young Bosch.
Johnny Young Bosch.
He's like, I'm a frog. And he's all sad about it. And Xena Princess Warrior has told them, like, like agile and quick, you are the crane. And,
Yeah.
like cunning and ferocious or whatever, you're the wolf. And it comes to Johnny Young Bosch, I'm a frog. And he's like, and she's like, yes, you are a frog. Like, as in to be proud of it. And then she says, like the kind you would kiss to get a prince. And she gives him a little kiss. And he gets all bashful and stuff. And it's like, but wait a minute. What's actually good about a frog?
She doesn't say that. She moves on.
Yeah.
She leaves.
Nothing.
Like the kind you kiss to get a prince.
So buck up, pal.
Yeah. Maybe one day.
But anyway, Tommy, you are the Falcon.
Yeah.
Oh.
The Lord of the Skies.
Yeah. Johnny Bosch is just like, fine.
It's like, so about the frog though. Is it like a noble creature or any?
Under the temple.
Yeah, no, and like there's nothing good about a frog. Like they live in a swamp. They can play the banjo, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And they have tongues.
They do have tongues.
Yeah, when I think about it, frogs suck.
Yeah.
Poor
They're-
Johnny Young Bosch.
There could have been so many other cool animals that you could have picked, but they picked frog
Mm-hmm.
for a joke.
Maybe there's some reason.
Like, was it for that joke?
I honestly hope so.
Where they're like, if one of them's a frog, then we can put in a line about like kissing them to get a prince.
Oh, that's genius.
That's
Put that
hilarious.
in the script.
Oh, it's good, so good. Just top-notch humor.
Oh, I just thought of a pun. Rock your world. There's got to be a rock fight.
Do you think there's like a folder of puns at the Power Rangers like writing room? Or it's like, open the pun drawer. We need some puns for this. 8-ball corner pocket.
That's a winner.
It's like, but they're not. It has nothing to do
Moving
with
on.
billiards. Like, oh, we're using the 8-ball one. Let's go. There's a lot of Zordon watching the news.
Yeah, that does come up.
Like every time while the Power Rangers are on the Phaedos, Alpha's like, maybe I can rig up some auxiliary crystals into the viewing globe instead of being like, let me run to the shop and get a TV and some rabbit ears. So they're like watching the news on like a crystal ball. And there's like the same news reporter constantly being like, all the parents are missing. We're getting so many reports from around Angel Grove of parents just going missing. And that's when I was reminded, like, oh, right, this is a movie aimed at, like, 10-year-olds.
Yeah.
Because, like, any normal movie would say adults or, like, people. Like, there's lots of missing people.
It's the parents that are missing.
But it's the
though.
parents. Because Ivan Ooze gives them little purple jars of ooze to take home, and then all of their parents touch it for whatever reason. They just leave the ooze lying around, and all the parents touch it.
Oh yeah, that's.
But none of the
also a
kids
really
get
good
brainwashed.
scene.
Because, like, wouldn't... if you were given a jar of purple ooze, like, wouldn't your first instinct be to touch it as a 10-year-old kid?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you'd be like, I gotta touch this a bunch because it's kind of gross.
Mm-hmm.
So then, wouldn't it mind control you as a kid, or like, does it only work on parents?
It was definitely targeted. That was his plan, was to
Yeah.
target the parents.
He mentioned parents many times, like, give it to your parents. If your parents don't like it, throw it in their face. He had a whole rhyming song, like, step right up and see the most wonderful, fantastical ooze that you'll never lose. I don't know.
Not good. Yeah, I like that.
But
Yeah, and then we see little kid Brad, who's kind of a side character, who I think is like
Brad, right.
a student of Tommy's, because Tommy teaches him martial arts.
he teaches him
something.
karate.
I think that's what it was.
And then he, like, makes fun of his dad in the opening scene.
yeah,
Where he's like, oh, his dad's like, oh yeah, hey, they're good at skydiving, you know, just like your old man. And he's like, Dad, you landed in the parking lot. It was so embarrassing.
parents.
Oh, Dad, quit cramping my style. Ugh.
Anyway, Brad's dumb
I'm a
dad
10-year-old.
comes home and sees this jar of ooze on the counter, right? And so he picks it up. He's like, "Oh, what is this?" You know?
Brad, where are you, Brad? Oh, ooze.
And he kind of unscrews the lid and he goes to smell it, which is fair, right? But he's like,
Yeah.
"Oh," and he's like reviled, like, "This smells bad."
Yeah.
So then what he does is takes two of his fingers and shoves it way in there, like much farther than was needed to feel the ooze.
Well, he is a man.
Anyway, he just shoves his fingers in there and then, gets electrocuted from the ooze and gets brainwashed and then goes to work in the quarry with all the other parents to dig up Ivan Ooze's giant robots. Of course, naturally.
As you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because he was buried mere feet from his giant robots.
Which seems like a pretty big
It's
oversight.
a bad plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally you would scatter them across multiple planets, but, you know, when you're on a TV budget, you only get one quarry.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
The best part of the show is always, for me, the giant robot fights. When, like, the robot fights the monster.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always a dude in a rubber suit, and
that's
it
always
looks really
the climax.
bad. Yeah. Yeah. But I love Japanese guys in suits pretending to be giant things kicking over small fake buildings.
Absolutely.
That's
It's
why I love
amazing to watch.
Godzilla movies. And that's
Yes.
why I love Power Rangers as an adult. There's none of that in this movie.
We were totally robbed of
It
that.
was the worst. There's the worst CGI in a movie that I've seen in a long time. And
It's
this
very bad.
this is 2 or 3 years after Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
So figure, you know,
Yeah.
think about that.
It's
'Cause
like
this looks like 90s cable TV CGI.
Yep.
Like, I'm pretty sure everyone that made this movie, like, was just like the crew from the TV show. But they also had no idea how to make the show because they just used stock footage for all of the action scenes. They're like, oh, use the computer?
computer smart do fight.
Because I made the comment, like, this looks like Beast Wars. And you said that's an insult to Beast Wars. Which is true.
But then also accurate.
Yeah. Because I guess when everything looks like that, when the entire show is really bad animation.
Yeah, like watching Beast Wars, if you're watching like Reboot, like the
yeah.
first CG TV shows.
Reboot.
Like
Reboot's rough.
it's you know, it is poor. But
Yeah.
you know, if you just get invested in it, then you totally overlook the fact that the quality is
Totally. I remember
Oh.
as a kid being like, oh, this is way better than stupid cartoons. Cartoons are all flat and drawn on, so obviously drawn. This is made in a computer. Infinitely better.
6-year-old Aaron.
It's not. Stupid 6-year-old kid. Anyways. But so you get that level of animation, but like in like with real life like background plates, and like there's scenes where it's like walking and then like you can see cars being like, whoa, moving to like avoid the giant like insect's foot, but it's just terrible.
Yeah, it is bad.
But they still shot like the cockpit sets look exactly the same as the TV show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like maybe like a little bit better quality, but they're still like doing the Star Trek thing, like everyone lean left and we're gonna tilt the camera right. And he's like, "Oh, you got hit." It's like, "Oh."
Oh yeah, classic.
And like sparks are flying around always for no reason. But then there's the button. Let's talk about the magic button.
Okay.
So their plan, Ivan Ooze, they kill one of the robots, and then Ivan Ooze, they form the new Ninja Megazord, and then Ivan Ooze takes over the other giant ectotransmorphicon necessities.
Yeah,
Um,
of life.
yeah. And turns into it's just like a big purple face on a robot.
Yeah, it looked real bad.
It's so
with
bad.
that CGI crap.
But you could have just had him in a tiny set with a big man in a robot costume and
Yep.
just
They could have.
they could have and they didn't. They really should let us make the new Power Rangers movie. We know what makes it good.
Yeah.
Men in suits, cardboard suits. So their plan is to shoot him into space and
Yeah, they lead
push him into the comet, which was brought up in the first scene.
Mm-hmm.
Again, if you weren't paying very close attention for like 1 second in the opening scene, because it's never mentioned again,
Definitely not.
you would have totally missed it. But there's a comet that's going to pass, and that's why they're sky jumping to save the observatory.
Yeah. Or upgrade it.
Or upgrade it.
Just fundraise for it.
Or
Or
just
awareness.
awareness of the observatory.
It was
Hey
very out
guys,
there.
we have one.
Now we're gonna skydive.
It's here. It's been here the whole time. Just an observatory. You can observe things in space. Like, oh, I never knew that.
I live in Angel Grove.
I live in Angel Grove. Every week, I'm almost stepped on by a giant bug. So it's they're fighting in space.
Yeah.
And
Ivan's got a
he's
grip
holding
on
onto
him.
them, yeah.
They're tumbling around. He's laughing like an idiot.
and there's like a great shot where it's just like his eyes looking into the cockpit.
Ugh.
And he says something about like, "Where's your Zordon now?" or something.
Something like that.
Uh,
I'll tear you Zord from Zord.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna tear you Zord from Zord. And the scenery chewing acting, like it is like capital A acting from Mr. Ivan Ooze. I wish I'd looked up his name. That dude is doing some. He's the one that's aware of how bad this is.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone else is playing it straight, and like even if they know that it's bad, they're still playing it like it's serious.
But not Ivan.
Not Ivan. That dude is taking every opportunity that he's presented to do some acting. But anyways, so he's gonna tear them Zord from Zord, but he's just kind of holding them by the shoulder as they're tumbling through space. And then Aisha's like, or no, Aisha starts doing something. Kimber's like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Taking care of business." And she smashes a thing that says "emergency use only" and presses a button.
And you gotta be thinking, like, what are they gonna eject? Are they gonna like leave the Zord there and let it get hit by the comet?
That would have been great if
Or
there was like
like-
a missile in the chest or something.
Or if maybe they're just gonna like emergency depart, like they would all
Yeah.
like scatter or something, and then he wouldn't be holding on.
Like
to
all the
anything.
Zords would break apart into their individual Zords and they'd somehow make it back to Earth.
There's nothing as logical as that.
No. Do you want to tell them or should I?
Oh, you go for it, bud.
They knee him in the balls. It's a button where you just kick him in the balls.
It's
But
the
not even. It's
emergency
just
button.
like it's an emergency button that slightly moves the knee forward
to knee Ivan Ooze in the
to
balls.
knee him in the balls. And that's how they defeat the bad guy. They knee him in the balls and then he gets hit by a comet. Oh, it's great.
So awful.
It's so awful, but amazing, but not.
yeah,
Like, it's funny to talk about, I guess,
but not to remember.
but not.
That's the tricky part.
Like, every now and then, you're just gonna remember that that's how Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie ends, and you're gonna just like be sad for a couple seconds. Like, you're like in the grocery store or something. You're like trying to decide what cereal to buy, and then all of a sudden you're just like, oh,
The emergency button.
oh no.
So painful.
Every time you're on a plane and you're like sitting in the emergency exit aisle, you're just gonna like look over and be like, oh no, if I pull that,
Knee in the balls.
it's terrible.
That's my new life.
But that's Mighty Morphin Power Rangers the movie. Did we miss anything?
The only other thing was that the insult Dingledorks was
Oh,
thrown out there,
yeah.
and I can't help but wonder if that's where I got it from all those years ago.
But do you say Dingledorks?
I've definitely said Dingledorks before in my
Oh,
everyday
man.
life.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, probably.
And
After he puts him in the snow globe, he's like, "You gonna work for me, or do you want to join these Dingledorks?" And they're like, we never liked those Dingledorks anyways." It's a great word. I can't believe you use Dingledorks.
yeah,
I don't think I've ever heard you use Dingledorks. But
yeah. Other than that, I think I've also heard it once in Corner Gas. I think Oscar uses Dingledorks at one point, but I'll have to look that up.
that is a great show. All right. Well,
But other than Dingledorks, that is the
I
summation.
think we've covered it. So that leads us to the Rotten Tomatoes score. What do you think this movie got? Out of 100, what percentage of critics said yes? Watch.
I'm gonna guess like 37.
Wow.
'Cause, I mean, like, come on, they've got to know that this is actually a really terrible movie. But then there's got to be some people that are like, yeah, you got to watch it. Because I mean, we did, but it was still terrible.
We have many times.
Yeah,
No, not 30. 50%.
50.
50, even 50-50 split.
Wow.
Yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that.
I know, right?
But I mean, good for Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and then like bad for the world.
Yeah, 56% of the audience approved, though. So
Yeah.
slightly better. There's probably a lot of kids.
That's what I
A
was
lot of
assuming.
kids that liked it. They're stupid. Or people like us that are dumb and watch bad movies on purpose.
Yeah.
All right. What do you say? Is this good? Is it bad? It's so bad it's good. Is it worth it?
See, it's really tricky. I mean, I am not quite sure how to characterize it because it's like if you've seen Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, then it's like you need to watch
you
it,
have
right,
to.
so that you know.
But I don't think anyone who hasn't seen the Power Rangers show is going to be able to watch this movie and like it.
No, because all in all, it is actually just a bad movie.
I mean, maybe if you don't know anything and you watch it, it's like a fun hate watch, but overall, I'd say you ooze, you lose. This is
And ooze, they did.
they oozed a lot. Yeah, I'm going to say thumbs down, bad,
Yeah,
not
I
not
think
not good, not
just a big old oops.
not an
This
amusing
isn't good.
not an amusing bad. Just one big pile of shit.
Yeah, like you can laugh and smile at it, but you're doing it through clenched teeth.
Yeah. Well, and again, I feel like because we were fans of the show as kids and watched this as kids, we do have a bit of nostalgia goggles for it, so we're able to appreciate it a little more than someone who has never seen Power Rangers and doesn't care.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, I say unless you're a huge fan, don't bother. Or if you're
stay away.
planning on seeing the new one, maybe you want to compare and contrast.
But even then, maybe just watch the new one.
Yeah, the
and
new one.
we'll just see how that goes.
The new one looks kind of interesting. Maybe, I don't know.
We'll find out.
Yeah, it could be good. It could be bad. You never know. Until next time, you can find us on Twitter at Retro Craptacular. And if you like the show and you want to keep hearing more and support the show, you can support us on patreon.com/retrocrappod. You can toss us $1, get the episodes early, or you can toss us $5, get access to exclusive content. If you don't have any money to give us, that's fine. You don't have to. The episodes will be available on iTunes and YouTube and everything for free. You can listen there. And I think that's it for us.
Yeah, been fun.
We will be back next month with a new movie. We will try to announce what movie we did a couple days beforehand. So if you want to watch it, you can do that. And until then, we will see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.